باعوك حلما باهظا لمع البروق الخادعة، يا بعض حلمي بعض توقي بعض خوفي وبعض أمني وكل آمال السنين الضائعة.
Rashid wrote this poem shortly after learning that his youngest son Mahmoud had been killed at the age of 19 fighting alongside ISIS in Iraq last month.
Maybe his mom.
A liberal political activist from Sudan, he brought his family to West London, fleeing persecution from the Islamist government there.
This is one of the dearest photos, and it brings a lot of memories when he was growing up. I didn't thought that I would be looking at it as in a past tense.
Rashid now wants to help combat the problem of British Muslims searching for an identity, being lured to ISIS.
It is a duty that we should explain to people that what is happening is actually against all ethos of humanity and against religion itself. And those young people have been brainwashed in some way. It is devastating, as you could imagine that anybody losing a young, very intelligent, straight A student, an A star in additional maths. This could be a scientist. So lovely, nice, funny. This transformation, actually, it is quite astonishing for Mahmoud in particular. It is like a metamorphosis.
Mahmoud's elder brother left for Syria towards the beginning of the conflict. From the little that the family know, he's still there now. Mahmoud followed last autumn. But growing up, the family say they were like any other young British teenagers. Mahmoud had a keen interest in music. At one stage, he used to play the keyboard. But as they grew older, they became drawn into radical circles.
Hanging with their peers, football, watching football, maybe some parties, partying with their friends, like the normal growing teenagers. But they started drift out of that sort of trajectory very slowly. We thought this is like a phase that young people go through. They want to find their identity, where they fit. But by the time we started getting worried and started talking to them, they were completely sucked into that. And some of the conversations started to get a little bit sort of intellectually confrontational. So we thought we would alienate them if we pushed very hard towards that. But apparently the tide that is taking them is more stronger than the one that we thought.
Mahmoud's brother travelled to Syria, leaving a letter for his parents, telling them of his decision. Concerned they might lose another son too, the family encouraged Mahmoud to move to Sudan to live with relatives, hoping in a Muslim country he would be exposed to different, less extreme interpretations of Islam. In Sudan, relatives took his passport away in case he tried to leave for Syria. His family asked the British embassy there not to give him a new one if he asked for it, but they did anyway.
Some family members notified them that Mahmoud might use this to go somewhere we don't want him to go. And we have the assumption that they know his brother is already there. They told him that Mahmoud is an adult now and he's a British citizen. Any member of family has no authority to reject him any rights that he has.
Mahmoud left his family in Sudan, telling them he was going on a trip for work, but he never returned. The Sudanese authorities assured the family they wouldn't let him leave the country, but weeks went by with no news until they received a message from Mahmoud's brother in Syria, saying Mahmoud was with him now.
Of course, it's quite devastating. I mean, the first one is quite devastating. And this is like adding salt to the wound as well. I mean, to know that somebody is actually having a one-way ticket is quite daunting and quite painful, and a sense of loss and a sense of defeat as well, in a sense. But the knowledge as well, this is could recur and repeat itself, is quite frightening. That's why I feel that people need to do something about that by explaining to people this is not the only alternative. And I think this is the Islamic scholars who don't affiliate to this school of thought, and they have to come to the forefront and say what they believe.
Rashid's flat is full of books on history, culture and left-wing politics. I ask him how he thinks so many young men, like his sons, could end up joining a group that's committing so many atrocities.
The empathy, the feeling of the human relation with their adversaries is quite numbed, if it is not completely uprooted, but it is numbed. And always ringing in their minds that what you are doing is permissible because you are doing the duty of God. If you are dead, to heaven. If you killed, you are permitted because this is an infidel. So by elevating the sense of responsibility from the core of your being, and feeling that you are a tool of a mighty power, even if you do something by your own choice, you can always escape to that. This is the wish of the God.
Last month, as fighting raged in Iraq between ISIS and government forces, the family learnt Mahmoud had been killed in Tikrit.
Having in mind that Mahmoud was over that part of the world, so it is likely to happen. But yeah, it was devastating. I mean, as if somebody is, you're just waiting for something to happen. And you say the expectation might take the edge of the blow, but absolutely not. One other thing I want to say here is that I will not, as a person, let those guys defeat me twice. Taking my sons and breaking me as a human being, that one I can't control. But what I can control is to keep my integrity as a person and try to see what is right and what is wrong from my own perspective, and be as courageous as they were to speak my mind and to do what I think is right.